once again, welcome. It's Exiles TV here on this Wednesday morning. You may be watching us at another time during one of our repeat broadcasts, but for right now, a little overcast on this Wednesday morning, and off we go into discussion of all things Louisiana and life in general. Would you give me a personal privilege for a moment?
Absolutely.
I have been watching this growing kerfuffle going on a national scale over Georgia's recent elections law. Mm-hmm. Now, they keep calling it a bill. It's not a bill. It's been passed. It's law.
Yeah.
Okay? And, you know, we've had Major League Baseball has decided to move the All-Star game because of the onerous voter law in Georgia. And then we got American Airlines chiming in. And this is what they object to. You got to show a photo ID in order to vote in the state of Georgia. Now, I don't know that that's onerous, and I think that is racist of the administration to presume that black people can't get a voter ID. But that seems to be the argument against it. Well, you're disenfranchising black voters because, you know, a lot of them can't get a voter ID. Why can't they get a voter ID? Why can't they get a photo ID?
I think that carries with it some very large stereotypical assumptions.
Yeah.
Here's what I like, is, again, this mentality that if somebody who happens to be African American doesn't like something, or if somebody who is not African American but doesn't like something and tells African Americans that
they shouldn't like it,
they shouldn't like it either, that we all had a knee jerk and say, oh my God, it's terrible. And what I found interesting is, like, for example, Major League Baseball requires a photo ID to pick up your tickets at any ticket office in any ballpark in the United States of America.
Was going to bring that up.
And you know what? I watch games on TV.
Well, wait a minute, Bill. What if you're an African American who bought tickets and you don't have a photo ID because, oh, massa, I don't know how to get one?
Well, I mean,
it's crazy. It's stupid.
But like I was about to say, I watch television. I like watching baseball. When I'm in a city where there's a Major League Baseball team and it's in season, I try to go to games. And I see an awful lot of African-American fans sitting right with me in that stadium.
Has anybody ever met an African-American person who did not know how to get a photo ID? Now, maybe you don't drive. If you don't drive, there isn't a state in the union that won't provide you with a state-issued photo ID card.
Yes.
They are not onerous. They're not difficult to get.
Well, and registrars of voters in many states, and Georgia is one of them, will provide you with a photo ID.
See, I thought the answer to this was just that simple. When you register to vote, you are presented with a photo ID, voter registration card, that you can keep in your wallet along with your driver's license and keep it in there until such time as you change your voter registration, if you do.
Well, I mean, they ask me for my ID card when I go and vote here in the state of Louisiana.
That's because it's state law in Louisiana.
But all these people getting upset, I mean, it's like, you cannot buy a ticket on Delta Airlines and pick it up at the counter without showing a photo ID.
Here's what makes me angry. First of all, it is not American Airlines' place to meddle in politics.
Delta.
I thought it was American.
No, Delta is headquartered in Atlanta.
It's not their place to meddle in politics, period. Mm-hmm. It is their place to shuttle people from one place to another in their airplanes. And as you said, if you want to fly in their airline, guess what you need? A photo ID.
By the way, if you want to fly on any airline.
By the way, the Major League All-Star game has been moved to Colorado, where guess what? They have a photo ID voter law. So what was accomplished by that?
Well, here's what was, nothing was accomplished. And I mean, some of the things in this law are just silly. Like if there's a long wait in line, you can't provide food and water to people that are standing in line. Why? Do you really think people are going to trade their vote for a bottle of Dasani? You know, there's a lot of stupidity. And you know what this was all about? This was about a few hardcore Republican legislators that are trying to show that they can still control what happens at the polling places in the state of Georgia.
Well, they're trying to reestablish control over polling places in the state of Georgia. I think that the 2020 presidential election pretty much showed that that Georgia was out of control. Pennsylvania was out of control.
But they actually extended some of the early voting periods, and this is all, again, we are in a nation right now where if somebody says, I happen to like knee-high cola, is that a racist remark because they make the orange one? Are you being a racist? Anything that anybody does, somebody's got to make it racial. It is a disgusting turn of events. You know what? If Major League Baseball doesn't like the voting laws in Illinois or in Georgia, then you know what? Your executives don't have to live there and vote there.
Mm-hmm. Now, I already know people that had bought the MLB package on their cable system so that they could see all the MLB games they wanted to, all the playoff games and the World Series. They've canceled that because they don't like that. I'm looking at a headline right there on that television monitor just off the stage. Said, Biden doubles down. The president calls Georgia law Jim Crow 2.0. This is the same president who presumes that black people cannot get a photo ID. Which, isn't that racist, presuming that black people can't get a photo ID?
Well, that's what I said. I said you're propagating a stereotype based on the color of their skin and nothing else.
Now, here comes Kevin with the very controversial comment. When you want to make it too easy to vote, when you want people to be able to vote without showing you that they positively are who they say they are, when you want people to vote by sending them ballots in the mail that they can then send in en masse, and those ballots aren't positively confirmed, there can be but one desire behind that, and that is you wish to perpetuate voter fraud. Period. And I'm going to go one step further. I think that we have one side of the political fence that feels that without fraud they cannot win, and they may be right.
Well, here's the whole thing. If you actually do come to an environment of voter fraud, either side is on an even playing field. One can commit as much fraud as the other should they choose to. Mm-hmm. What I don't like, what this is throwing a you don't have to follow the long-established rules cookie to someone because you want to curry favor with them when maybe they're not even asking for you to try to curry favor to them.
Thank you. Before we go to break, have you heard any large groups of African Americans saying we don't want to have to show a photo ID to vote? Have you heard that from any groups? I haven't.
No.
Maybe I'm not paying attention to the right media. I don't know. Quick break. We're going to be right back with more of Exiles TV. Thanks for being with us.
Taste the feeling.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
As soon as
TV. I'm Bill Profita. He's Kevin Gallagher.
That is the rumor.
Coming up in just a few minutes, Daniel Erspamer with the Pelican Institute as the legislative session looms ever near. Louisiana's own nonpartisan think tank has got some thoughts on what may be being considered during that upcoming session.
I might ask him if there are any proposed legislature that's winners and some that are frankly losers.
Well, let's just see what they have to say about the whole thing. Like this, there's this, for example. Do you know that 65% of registered voters in Louisiana want to legalize recreational marijuana?
65? Whose poll is that?
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, it's up from 54 who favored it last year.
Whose poll is that?
Well, it might be Dude and Company. I don't know, but you know, a poll's a poll is a
Times
poll.
Magazine.
Yeah. So
A poll is a poll.
Representative Tanner McGee, who is a Republican and also a dude,
Tanner's a young, energetic man.
has sponsored a bill that would legalize marijuana in the state of Louisiana.
I got to tell you,
By the way, the poll is done by our good buddy John Kuvion at JMC Enterprise.
Really?
Yeah.
I trust John, and I trust his polling techniques.
Yeah. John is a serious scientist when it comes to
I
this.
am a little surprised that this comes from a conservative Republican. I would have thought that it would come from the more socially lenient left. You know, get people out of jail, you know, that sort of thing, free up more jail space.
Now,
65%. Amazing.
Representative McGee's bill, or as we will now refer to him as Dude,
The dude.
the dude only wants to expand medical marijuana, but it would be an expansion like,
Well,
you're
wait a
feeling
minute.
kind of blue? Fire this up, okay?
Okay, so you could self-medicate, you could self-diagnose.
But he's
I
been
don't know, I'm
joined.
feeling pretty blue.
He's been joined by Representative Candace Newell and Representative Richard Nelson, who say, "Oh, come on, enough. Let's just open the doors and don't worry, be happy."
I'm going to say this about the subject. Now, I'm not sure that it's a great idea to, New York State just opened up recreational marijuana consumption, not medical, recreational, and you're allowed to own up to 5 pounds of your own marijuana, provided there's no evidence that you're distributing it. Okay? You know how much 5 pounds of marijuana is? That's a bale.
I don't have
That's
much,
like a hay bale.
I don't have a point of reference on that.
I think it would take an average person a year to smoke 5 pounds of marijuana,
How long would it have taken you in your heyday?
but more than a year.
More than a year.
More than a year. But I'm amazed that New York State has done this. I think that Louisiana will be one of the last states to legalize recreational marijuana. I don't necessarily think it's a good idea, but we have illicit drugs on the street that are killing people.
Well,
And maybe law enforcement should be more focused on that than nobody ever died from smoking marijuana.
let me tell you what they should focus on. They should focus on the fact that it will generate tens of millions of tax dollars in the state of Louisiana. Most states have a 10 to 25% tax rate on cannabis products and production. Louisiana would rake in $77 million at 15%, $128 million at 25%.
But this is for what? Selling it through.
Selling it at retail, recreational,
Okay, so
as well as medical.
going into a store and buying yourself some weed just to get high.
Buying yourself some happiness. That's
Okay.
right. All right. And
What if you wanted to? Is the proposed law allowed for cultivation of your own weed? A little patch in the backyard, maybe 15, 20 plants.
I don't know if that is specified in this particular bill. The New Orleans City Council sent a letter of support to the legislature saying, quote, and I'm quoting, "This is our best shot," what they left out, "because we already screwed our tourism industry into the ground."
Wow. I didn't think that there would be serious recreational.
And maybe we won't be killing as many people on Bourbon Street if they're all high.
I didn't think that there would be a serious attempt at recreational marijuana in Louisiana this soon. I thought it would come.
Kevin.
Follow the dollars.
Dude,
Dude.
chill.
Bruh.
Chill. Like that blunt you got in the ashtray of your car, chill. This is going
I don't even have an ashtray in my car, Bill.
I don't even have a garage. You can call home and ask my wife. This is going to be nothing but a humor bonanza for people like you and I. Nothing substantial is going to happen here, but we are going to have one-liners for the next 4.5 weeks thanks to this.
I'm going to predict that this one dies a quick death.
Oh, no.
If it makes it through the House, because Tanner McGee is a representative, if it makes it through the House, it'll get over to that Senate committee we all love, the Judiciary, one of the 3 Judiciary committees, where it will be killed.
But a smart lobbyist will bring them all brownies in the morning before they debate it.
The 2 big lobbies that are going to be against this are the District Attorney's lobby and the Sheriff's lobby.
Sheriff's lobby.
And those are 2 of the most powerful lobbies in the state of Louisiana. Trust me.
Well, I certainly don't want to speak on behalf of the district attorneys, but I have heard district attorneys from various areas in previous years saying that if it could be controlled, legalized, and taxed, their opposition would wane, that they would be more in favor of it.
I do believe that if it could be controlled, legalized, and taxed and put out for retail consumption, it would significantly impact the black market for it, but the black market would still exist.
What do you mean? You think just black people smoke joints?
No, yeah, you know what I mean.
You're a racist,
Come
man.
on,
You
know what
are
I mean
a
by black
racist.
market. The underground market. There are always going to be people who want to look. There's still an underground market for liquor in Louisiana because people don't want to get caught up in the tax machine.
What?
We still have moonshiners. We have illegal liquor in Louisiana because they don't want to be taxed.
Or maybe they just don't look at a calendar and realize what year they're living in.
Yeah, man. I mean, you can get liquor at the convenience store. What's the deal, Neil? All right, another break here.
I'm telling you, the big picture on this is you and I are going to have a load of laughs.
The legislature convenes on the 12th. Daniel Erspamer is with the Pelican Institute. We're going to talk to him about what we may see over the weeks ahead as we have a fiscal-only session starting next week. And Exiles continues in just a moment.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to greystonecountryclub.com.
From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La Contea takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La Contea, your Italian dining will change forever.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down.
Taste the feeling.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
The selection is deep, and the time to get a used car is right now from the Team Automotive Group. Shop and save on over 125 certified vehicles and choose from more than 700 pre-owned vehicles at any of our team locations. Or log on anytime at teamautouse.com.
Welcome back to Exiles TV. Bill Profito over yonder. I'm Kevin Gallagher, and the man joining us in the middle we'd love to have on the program from the Pelican Institute. Please welcome Daniel Erspamer. And as we like to describe it, I just like saying the words think tank, but for lack of a better word, the Pelican Institute is a bunch of really, really smart guys that are all together and applying all that intelligence towards the betterment of our state.
That's right.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, pretty good. I'll take that. I'll take that any day. Our job is to really do research, understand the conditions on the ground. At the end of the day, we want everyone in Louisiana to have the opportunity to flourish. And so the question is, where does government get in the way of that? And where does government help that? And if we can solve those problems, frankly, you solve almost every other problem along the way. And we've got some big opportunities to make a difference this year.
I have noticed in the time that we've known you and we've followed what you do, two very important things. That number one, you are very, very nonpartisan. You've got people from every stripe that support your research and your work and maybe point you in a direction. But you also do worry about the economics a lot more than you worry about the social justice, because you understand that the economics of the state have to be healthy for everything else to come into place. Is that a fair statement?
Absolutely. You know, especially in the near term, we want to look through the lens of jobs and opportunity. So what are the policies that are going to bring good quality jobs back? You know, I gave a speech last night in Jefferson Parish, and this happens in every speech I give around the state. I ask people to raise their hands if they've had a family member or close friend have to leave Louisiana to find a good job.
A lot of hands in the air.
A lot of hands in the air. This is a uniquely Louisiana experience. It puts us in the league of New York and California and Illinois and other high tax, high regulation states that have a bad quality of life and expensive cost of living. We don't need to be in that list. And frankly, it's within the legislature's ability to make those changes.
Let's talk about the legislature a little bit. We had a big changeover the last election cycle. I think we have something like 31% are brand new, have never taken a seat in either house before. And there was some great expectation that this might be a shift toward more sensible economic policy. And then, of course, COVID happened.
Right.
So before we talk about specific instruments, what's your box score from where you sit on what we've got in the legislature today?
I think pretty good. This will, as you know, this year will be the test of that. But let's look at last year. We made good steps forward, not everything we need, but good steps forward on legal reform. We passed some great liability protections around COVID. In fact, one of the best in the country. Representative Thomas Presley, who sponsored that, is actually helping other lawmakers in other states write similar bills. And we saw some progress on things like occupational licensure and good reentry, making sure, you know, we talked some about social justice, right? But 98% of people who are incarcerated are going to come back out. How do we make sure they don't commit another crime and find a good job and get back in the community? These are policies everyone can get around. Again, if we look at those pathways to jobs and opportunity. So pretty good. Let's see how bold they act in the opportunity that faces them this year.
One of the speculations is, do we have a legislature that can act independently of the governor? In many previous administrations, the governor really did lead the legislature around by the nose.
Yes.
I mean, the governor's king in this state. Is the king in the descendancy right now?
The balance of power is certainly shifting. You have the first time in our history that both the Senate and House leadership were independently elected by the membership rather than chosen by the governor. If you just look at the numbers, the House, if you just look at R&D, right, the House is one vote away from a veto override in terms of just a Republican group. Now, if you build a good coalition that is more bipartisan, you actually start to get the votes to potentially override the governor, which hasn't happened in a long time.
Who was the last governor over in Buddy Romer? Was the last
Romer.
one?
I believe it was. That's right.
Wow.
So that there may be an opportunity for that this year. We'll see. But what you do see is the governor not taking the lead as much on some of these debates, is waiting and responding. And frankly, he signed some bills last year that I was a little surprised to see him come to the table on. So even if it's not completely obvious, I definitely think the power has shifted, and we're starting to see a little more balance there.
With a fiscal-only session, there's been a lot of talk about some real substantive tax reform, especially as to how we tax business.
That's right.
Do you see that happening? Do you see them actually able to push that through?
Well, we're certainly going to be spending a lot of time talking about it. I believe something will pass. The question is how big and how bold. You define the problem rightly. It's complexity in our system. The great example of this, in our corporate tax code alone, we have 432 pages of tax preferences, credits, carve-outs. This is government picking winners and losers. And listen, I understand, for most of those, it's industry saying we got a bad deal. It's a bad tax situation. Let's not fix the whole system because that's hard. Let's just fix our part of the puzzle, which is completely logical. And their job is not to fix the state. It's to earn a profit for shareholders. The problem is we put Band-Aid over Band-Aid. You compare that 432 pages of tax preferences, the entirety of the New Testament in the King James Version of the Bible is 184 pages.
Yipes.
This is a pretty complex issue, and we've got to fix it.
But we also have written into our state tax code loopholes that a smart corporate business with smart tax lawyers can exploit to pay virtually nothing. And that upsets people. So is there no happy medium?
There is, and I'll tell you, our solution is to eliminate complexity in favor of a low, flat, predictable rate. So our proposal on both the corporate tax code and the individual tax code is to reduce almost all of the complexity, eliminate most of those credits and deductions in favor of one low flat rate. And depending on how many of those credits you get rid of and exactly what you can do, you can bring those rates down on both corporate and personal to somewhere between 3 and 4%. Which is, the buzzword this year is revenue neutral. This is not talking about raising taxes or lowering taxes. This is, let's start with simplify the system. Then we can have a real debate. Are taxes too high, too low, and how should we fix that?
I think word has gotten around corporate America. I'm surprised that Amazon is building this giant distribution center here, because word has gotten around corporate America that it's not necessarily that taxes are onerous or not onerous. It's just that you're going to spend maybe millions in legal fees to your attorneys and your accountants trying to figure out what it is that you need to do to operate in Louisiana, and so they will go somewhere where it's easier.
Oh, no question. We're not even on the list. If you look at, we're in the most mobile workforce maybe in the history of the world, and we see enterprises and workers and entrepreneurs leaving in droves from states like California and New York. Where are they going? They're going to Texas, they're going to Tennessee, they're going to Florida, some even Mississippi. We used to count on Mississippi, it could be the butt of our jokes, but now we're the butt of theirs.
Look at all the huge automobile plants that they built basically in a 150-mile radius in Alabama and Georgia.
That's right. We're not even on the list. I think, frankly, the reason that the Amazon distribution centers here is because they have to have something. At the end, there's the demand and the need for distribution centers is so great. You got to put something somewhere.
Yeah.
It's
Didn't they
really
build one in Jefferson as well?
They will probably have a ring of them in the South, because the South part of the United States, because of the Gulf and all the navigable rivers and the old rail spurs that are still around, give you intermodal transportation possibilities, which is really good if you're a distribution company. But that's going to be one. What about the giant manufacturing that will go to Georgia instead of Louisiana, even though it's harder to distribute from there because of the tax code?
You're absolutely right. If you look at the resources we have in Louisiana, huge ports, great rivers, great, we should be the hub of value-added manufacturing. We should be the hub of shipping. We should be the hub of energy. All of those things, and we're right on the cusp in some of those places. But every turn, it's policy that gets in the way. It's allowing lawsuits against our oil and gas industries off the coast. It's runaway insurance rates because of lawsuit abuse. It's the tax code that's complicated and, as you say, requires a lawyer and a lobbyist and a CPA in order to get a decent deal. It's just not worth the work. I heard from a company here in Louisiana that files 1,000 tax returns every year just in the state of Louisiana.
Wow.
That's crazy. Why would any sensible business leader, entrepreneur, especially if you're trying to start a new enterprise, that's where the growth is going to come. New industry, new entrepreneurs. We could be the innovation leader in the country. It's within our grasp.
Daniel, I don't want to put you in a difficult spot, but I remember in previous administrations there was a lot of talk about economic development. And I don't think the average person could even tell you who our current director of economic development for the state is. There just hasn't been that focus during the Edwards administration. Any thoughts on that?
It's true, and to the extent you have seen it, a lot of those deals just don't pan out. This is the problem with economic development that relies on tax abatements and credits and that sort of thing. We only do that because we can't compete on the baseline level. And so what happens in those credits is you put the government in the position of picking winners and losers. Wouldn't it be better if everyone had the same opportunity to succeed?
Yes.
And that's what the policy we should be aiming for. And I'm not criticizing economic development. You have to do it given how bad our system is. But let's, instead of keeping on doing that, let's actually fix the system and get a better deal for everyone.
Is there anybody that's got a bill that you all believe could accomplish that in this session?
Yes. The good news is there are a bunch of bills filed on tax reform. There's probably 20 that are all steps in the right direction. The package that most reflects the policies the Pelican Institute has put out is sponsored by Representative Thomas Presley from Shreveport. It's a package of, I think, 4 bills because it requires a constitutional amendment and some other things, so it's complex even moving it. But it's a package of 4 bills. They'll be in the Ways and Means Committee on the House side, and it really accomplishes all of that. And we believe, based on the score, that's going to bring at least 4,000 jobs in the first couple of years and be a couple $100 million in economic activity growth.
We will be back in a moment with Daniel Erspamer, the president and CEO of the Pelican Institute, talking about what may be coming up in the legislative session, which is 9 days away, something like that, in just a moment.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing.
You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Hi, I'm Hurricane Betsy Barnes.
And I'm Dr. Kay Siller with The Rocket Right Show.
We are 2 busy blondes on the go showing off life in Louisiana.
Watch us on Pelican Sports Network.
And Talk 107.3 FM. Check local listings for times.
The first big sale of the year is here. The Dream Garage Spring Event is underway at Team Honda. For the first time ever, get $12.50 customer cash on every new 21 Passport, or get 0% for 60 months on every new 21 Pilot at Louisiana's #1 Honda dealer, Team Honda.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
I'm self-employed and didn't report all my income. They claim I owe a lot more than I do.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
Tax Solutions Now saved my business.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now.
Call 800-778-4345. 800-778-4345.
Exiles TV, glad to have you along with us. Very glad to have our buddy Daniel Erspamer, who is the president and CEO of the Pelican Institute. They are a nonpartisan Louisiana think tank dealing with prosperity for all in our state. And we talked about some tax reform instruments. What else are you watching in this upcoming legislative session?
So one of the things that's going to be high on the list for everyone is all of the money flowing in to Louisiana from the federal bailouts.
Mm-hmm.
When you add up the local, the state, everything, it's about $5 billion in money coming
swells our annual budget to somewhere north of 37?
North of that. We were north of 38 to begin with.
I remember when it was, the annual budget was like $12 billion bucks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Holy mackerel.
We've lived this before, right? We've lived through post-Katrina. And we know the playbook here, which is we spend all this money and we're addicted to the spending, and then once the money runs out, what happens? We send a bill to the taxpayers and ask you to pay more.
Well, and not only that, but it seems to me at first glance, and I'm not an expert, but it seems to me there's a lot of strings attached to the money coming in now. Like there is a job placement program that if you read the fine print, the television time they're buying, which is copious, is paid for by the CARES Act. And the first two people who were selected to be in this, you can't understand a freaking thing they say because they are an Asian brown minority. So you have to get 20 seconds into a 30-second spot before there's somebody you can readily understand through the small speaker on your television screen. And this is one example of this kind of foolishness that basically, pardon my French, pisses some of this money away.
Yeah, so the key here is going to be transparency. How do we make sure that every dollar...
But isn't that the trick?
It is the trick. So there's a piece of legislation by Representative Rick Edmonds from here in the Baton Rouge area, and it will bring it to starting with school boards. So this was a problem to begin with. Louisiana, we already spend over $13,000 per kid to educate them in the public education system. That compares to a little over $10,000 in Texas, a little over $10,000 in Mississippi, a little less than $10,000, about $9,500 in Florida. And yet, we're at the bottom of the list in student outcomes, and we're near the bottom quintile of teacher pay. So how is it that we're spending more money than our neighbor states, paying our teachers less and getting worse outcomes? Where's the money going? Well, you start to figure out, once it gets in those school board budgets, it's nearly impossible to see where it's coming. And public schools are getting $1.1 billion as part of this package. So it was important to get transparency before. It's going to be more important to bring that now. So it's going to make sure that we remember the passage of Louisiana checkbook a few years ago. So it's going to add those education dollars to Louisiana checkbook. It's our belief the very least government can do is tell us how they're spending our money.
Yeah.
Well, and again, you have too many tripwires. Now, I remember early in the COVID lockdown, the treasurer got some federal money for the Main Street program. But he was very, very insistent that be vetted and controlled through his office, and he didn't care at all about who the people who got the money looked like.
That's right.
Everybody had to apply in exactly the same fashion. But that was peanuts compared to the billions. He had maybe, 800,000, something like that, maybe $1 million?
Yeah, I think it was a little north of $1 million.
Yeah.
It wasn't a big sum of money at all. But look at other recent headlines. We got the Louisiana Workforce Commission acknowledging that they paid out nearly 100,000 illegitimate claims during the big rush to throw money at people or during the COVID
and
crisis.
again, they have kind of an excuse on that because it was before the tax filing year, so they couldn't really tell from somebody's previous year's tax returns what their income was and how much they should get or whether they still had ongoing income. I'll give them a little bit of a pass on that. But what they're happening now is you've got this additional federal money that was supposed to make your unemployment seamless. You have 29 weeks extension, but guess what? Everybody who hit that 26th week is still under review. So now they've missed 5 weeks of the federal money because the Workforce Commission says, well, we're working on it, instead of making it seamless, which was what the money was intended to be.
But Daniel, you mentioned Louisiana checkbook, and we all thought when that was initiated that was going to solve all the problems. Everything's going to be right there. All you need is the gumption and the time to go to the website and look it up, but there's still an awful lot of money that is not accounted for.
Well, I'd like to point out the original legislation that we supported and were involved in helping to put together would have accomplished the goal of Louisiana checkbook with a price tag of about $250,000. Not too bad.
That's not bad at all.
Pocket change.
And it would have been done in 6 to 12 months. The bill that ultimately passed, instead of bringing in an outside expert industry that actually does this every single day, we've decided to do it in-house. And so instead of 6 months or a year and $250,000, we're going to end up spending several $1 million, and it takes 5 years to get it all up. So what's up there now is good, but we're missing the Department of Health.
Yep.
We're missing some of the major.
I need to see
item.
their checkbook more than I need to see anybody's
No question.
checkbook.
And amazingly, when they plotted this out, they were the last ones that are going to come online. Go
What a
figure.
coincidence. It's just funny how that works out.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me the impression was that the point person inside Department of Revenue is a political appointee that doesn't have any particular experience in accounting or economics, and a lot of the money that has inflated the bill from $250,000 has come from him hiring on no-bid contracts people to do the work.
Funny what happens when money starts flowing through politics.
Am I wrong?
If I may ask your opinion, should our revenue secretary be an elected position rather than an appointed position?
It's an interesting
Should that person who's responsible
you might
for...
end up with worse.
First of all, other states, the treasurer is in charge of the Department of Revenue, and the treasurer is an elected position. We have a political crony, and sometimes some people have said a check mark in a box running our revenue department.
Well, it's another example of just how much we are reliant on the Huey Long system of government, where everything ran through the governor. You know, another example of this, in Louisiana, the governor gets more than 5,000 appointments to boards and commissions.
Good Lord.
To compare that to Texas, it's somewhere around 250. So you just start to realize the real power that's wielded is all of those things, and we keep putting offices and things in the office of the governor, where we have, we actually wanted the Louisiana checkbook to live in the Treasury. That seemed like the right place to put it. And
I would trust John Schroeder running it more than I would the governor's office.
Well, but see, that all depends on, your trust depends on the election cycle. It should actually be held. It should be held under the Department of Treasury in a compartmentalized office that is run by people who know banking and accounting.
It's the same idea. There's some conversation happening in some cities and parishes across the state to move from sort of an elected mayor to an appointed city manager, right? This model works really well. So it's amazing what happens when you have an elected body go out and hire an expert and hold them accountable to metrics and to delivery of services.
And I'll give you an example of two places that it seems to work very well in this state that are not elected officials, but are also nonpartisan, basically at the high end of civil service. and that is the Inspector General's office and the Legislative Auditor's office.
Daniel, a little under 2 minutes. What else? What are the bills to watch this legislative session?
So additionally, we're going to look at a package of bills. We talked about making Louisiana the most innovation-friendly state in the country. It's an idea coming out of Kentucky and Utah and a couple other places. It's called a regulatory sandbox. So it says for new ideas in insurance, insurance an important issue right now.
Oh, yes.
Financial technology, things like that, that we put some regulatory certainty and let entrepreneurs and innovators come up with new ideas within that. So it short circuits the process of regulatory approval, but provides those safeguards that you would need on all of those. So that plus some drone legislation that's going to provide rules of the road or rules of the sky, if you will, as drones become a more important part of our life. We also want to look at education choice, right? Our goal is that the dollars that we spend on education follow every child in Louisiana to the educational option of their choice. We're going to start that with a pilot program that helps some of these kids most in need, kids in the foster system, who if anybody needs a little optionality and choice in their life, it's those kids. This will provide what's called an education savings account or education opportunity account to allow those kids to pursue other educational opportunities. And then transportation is going to be a big topic. Obviously, the gas tax is going to be debated. It already has been. It was gone, and now it's back. It starts with transportation department reform. We've got to make sure that every dollar we're spending on transportation goes through the process, has scrutiny by the Appropriations Committee, and that money we're spending in our gas tax to the Transportation Trust Fund actually gets spent on roads and bridges rather than the hundreds of millions of dollars we're spending on overhead and pensions in that department.
Yeah,
salaries.
There's definitely some work that needs to be done there. We will be talking to Daniel more during the session, but for right now, tell people where to go to look at your positions on all of these items.
You can go to pelicaninstitute.org, pelicaninstitute.org. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you get your news and engagement. We'd love to hear from you. Get involved. This is a really important session. We can do some big things.
Daniel Erspamer, thanks for being with us. We'll be back in a moment to wrap the show. Stick around. All right, get that mic off.
Caught spiders. Premier Pest Services.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La Contea takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La Contea, your Italian dining will change forever.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to greystonecountryclub.com.
Hi, business owners. Phase 3. Woohoo! But do your customers know you're back? Well, that's where the Clarence Bugg Show and Pelican Broadcasting can help. Right now, we've got great rates on advertising packages to help you get the word out. Shoot me an email, at bugsclarence@gmail.com. Or better yet, call me up. I'd love to talk with you. 225-485-6839. Let's get together and make Phase 3 the best it can possibly be.
Got termites? Get Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
Hey, welcome back, Exiles TV. We've only got a few short minutes left with you, but we sure do thank you for taking some time and sharing the program with us. Don't forget that we will rebroadcast this program tonight at 10 here on Pelican Broadcasting, Channel 20, if you're watching us on any of the Cox cable systems. And of course, you can always go to YouTube. Look for the Pelican Broadcasting page on YouTube, where you can on demand view this program, the Clarence Buggs Show, Tigers Roar, Rocket Right Radio, any of the other great programs
And
here
some
on
really
Pelican.
good outdoors programs that I know a lot of our clients love. Before we go, you and I were talking on our Facebook Live broadcast this morning about the Title IX problems at LSU.
Big lawsuit coming from someone that worked in the athletic department.
Yeah, let's talk about a $50 million lawsuit. Sharon Lewis, who is LSU's Associate Athletic Director of Football Recruiting, she's still working there, by the way, will file multiple lawsuits against her current employer. Her attorneys, Larry English, Bridget Brown, and Tammy Brown, say their client will file a $50 million Title IX retaliation and civil RICO action in federal court against the LSU Board of Supervisors, the university's law firm, Taylor Porter, and former head coach Les Miles, and other LSU notables. Here's what they're saying. Members of the LSU Board of Supervisors, LSU Athletic Department, LSU leadership, and their law firm entered into a conspiracy to hide Les Miles' sexual harassment investigation from federal officials and the public, and to retaliate against Ms. Lewis. Over the last 8 years, Ms. Lewis has stood up to protect LSU female student workers, and as a result has suffered unimaginable retaliation sanctioned by the LSU Board of Supervisors.
So in other words, by trying to advocate for these students and athletes, she became a villain in her own workplace.
Well, what she was
They treated
following-
her like a villain in her own workplace.
She is alleging that she was following the proper protocol to protect their rights after they had been harassed or abused. And
LSU put the quash on that.
that's what she is saying. Now, they're also saying a memorandum written by the Taylor Porter law firm, and by the way, they did the first investigation, if you remember, documents LSU and Porter entering into a conspiracy to cover up former head coach Miles' alleged sexual harassment and the Title IX investigations in violation of federal and state RICO statutes. By the way, RICO is not just a very, very well-groomed dancer. That is the Racketeering and Corrupt Organizations Act. That's what they used to use to go after the mafia many, many years ago. So it is going to be very, very interesting. It is going to be very, very interesting. Now, she is also alleging that she was harassed by top-ranking LSU officials, including Miles, Executive Athletic Director Verge Osbury, and Senior Associate Athletic Director Miriam Seeger. Now, if you remember, Seeger and Osbury have been called to testify before the legislature along with Coach O. So this is going to be a very, very interesting lawsuit in what is likely to be uncovered if this actually goes to court.
I don't get a sense about this one. That's a big dollar. I mean, you sue somebody for $50 million, they pay attention. They pay attention. But it doesn't. This doesn't have the smell to me of let's settle out of court, give me a big check.
Well,
this is more like I want the truth to come out.
Well, and also, she believes that she can prove she was denied several pay raises and promotions over the last 8 to 10 years, and that those directly in her chain of command not only didn't stand up for her, may have been part of denying her this because of her Title IX allegations, her advocacy for student workers.
She's troublemaker.
Well,
she's troublemaker.
You know, it wouldn't be the first time, and believe me, I don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying this is right, okay? In fact, it's usually quite wrong. But it wouldn't be the first time that people in positions of authority like this, well, yeah, we know, but let's just keep this in the family.
Well, look at all the things that happened like at CBS News and NBC News when they had these sorts of problems.
Don't make a big
internally.
fuss about this. Let's just keep it in the family.
Yeah, exactly. Fox News.
This
is the problem, is that people can't keep their personal lusts and their professions separate.
Or their loyalties in the face of overwhelming evidence to get on the right side, to get on the side of the angels. To say, Coach so-and-so, you know what?
I don't care how many games you're winning, get out.
Yeah, I've always loved you, but you've gone too far this time, and I can't stand with you on this. I have to stand against you because that's the right thing to do, and it's the law.
Sad.
Well, if this gets into a courtroom, and of course you can bet LSU's attorneys are going to try to persuade the judge that there is no lawsuit here. But if it gets into the courtroom, we're going to hear some stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'm waiting to see if the opposition, decides that they've got some stuff on Ms. Lewis that they want to bring forward as counter charges.
You know what?
They always try to discredit the whistleblower.
You're always going to have something on everybody, and that's the whole thing. But it'll be very interesting to see where this goes, as if we don't have enough on our plates. Hey, Clarence Bugg's coming your way in about 6.5, 7 minutes.
He's going to talk more on this Title IX situation, too, so make sure you stay tuned.
In the meantime, tell your friends they can catch us at 10 o'clock tonight on this very channel and see what they missed. Don't forget, if you want to find out more about what Daniel, our guest, was saying, about what they think of things that are going on in the legislature, go to pelicaninstitute.org any time of the day or night. We're going to take out of here. You be good to yourself, be good to each other. We'll see you next time.
God bless.